I don't know, but I just hit the record button on OBS. If you don't want me to record, tell me now because I love these
Yeah,
conversations we have.
I mean, the I already signed our Fractally contributor agreement where everything we say can be recorded and can and will be used to make fun of us
Yeah,
uh,
I love
five
it. I love it.
5 months or 5 years from now.
Right, right. Well, that's very interesting because you know what? I have a suspicion there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than people are willing to admit, and it's a very delicate situation that doesn't necessarily need to be, uh, but publicly broadcast by either side due to it's not necessarily productive. And the fact that you brought that up is very interesting to me because have you ever have did I invite you to my OG EOS plebs group?
Um, I'm you mentioned it, and so I may have clicked through it. And
Well,
yeah, I mean, you mentioned and you said like there's some OGs there who bring up all kinds of. They have all the skeletons in all the closets, and
right,
they're happy to
right, right.
bring them out and shake them.
And
Yeah,
so let me just summarize the viewpoint that is largely expressed predominantly in that group is that well, not large it's like basically a lot of them are down on EOS and talking about it being a scam or a rug pull or a convoluted thing. And one of the things I remember from a while back, they said, Yves is like a used car salesman. When he first started the ENF, he's trying to get everyone to join, but nobody, could take him seriously. And they're just really, really harsh and, basically, making it out like it's just a kind of thing to where, um, like it's a very contrary perspective than what obviously the ENF or the EOS community is wanting to have presented. But despite there being FUD and FUD not being uh, productive for the EOS community, if the FUD is based in fact, Doug Wu wants to know. And if the FUD is
yeah,
not based in fact, Doug Wu wants to know. And if the FUD's not based in fact, Doug Wu wants to shine a light, right? And so,
yeah,
but if the FUD is based in fact, Doug Wu wants to solve a problem. And that problem solving uh, conversation is something that Doug Wu can't handle unless he's privy to the information. And so, part of the reason why I do all this stuff like this Trust EVM and Trust Swap and going out into Twitter Spaces and this and that, everyone's watching in real time. Like, hey, he came in a newbie and he said he's going to do this. He said he's doing that. And they're going to be able to watch the evolution of my learning, even if they don't pay attention, because eventually it's going to be all recorded and published and put into a fictional fantasy blog format and involve the participation of other people and become a viral powerhouse in a host of keyword territories that Doug intentionally conquered. You get what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
if I have relationships with people in the ETH Solidity world, if I have relationships with people on these outside of EOS Web3 Twitter spaces, if I have relationships with trust, where immediately all I want to do is talk about something, oh, I got some recognized authority and expert that's willing to participate and play this game with me. Now I can peel off some of their link juice or redistribute it or duplicate it. You follow me? And so,
yeah.
what I'm trying to do, whether people realize it or not, is get them to realize I am the master of everything. Like, basically, I'm thinking in a way where I can instantly and transparently, uh, not instantly necessarily, but transparently um, develop a methodological system of entering into a realm of intelligence and consciousness based on a structure and format that's hyper efficient and that's unlimiting and that I've been prepping for this for some time. So I'm already not, it's like it'd be a big different thing if I didn't know anything about computers, or technology, but I've been prepping myself for this for some time. So if I can get these wide varied assortment of people across the EOS and Fractally ecosystem, it's sort of like what I've been doing is using Fractally to leverage EOS. because when I'm first interacting with EOS, I'm just a nobody, you know. But now I'm on a team and Fractally, and I'm telling people what's going on. I'm all over the Telegram groups. Now they have to sort of like I carry a little bit more weight. And if I'm trying to do valuable contributions to EOS and going, hey, go thank Dan Larimer and Fractally for having a way to, at least in my mind, incentivize and recompense me for my efforts. Whereas EOS, what are you guys doing for me? You follow me? And so
Yeah.
and so basically, it's sort of like playing both sides against each other. And the way I'm playing both sides against each other is by giving them stuff for free and going, who wants me more, and who's going to jump on the Doug Wu bandwagon or assign some sort of rights and entitlements, because I'm a free agent and nobody's made me an offer. And so basically, I play that game back and forth with them, and I'm like, I'm getting bored over here. I'm going to go over here now. I'm going to go to this Web3 space. I just want to talk about real estate NFTs, and I want to talk about everybody that talks to me wants to think small. I want to think big. I found a group of people that are willing to think big with me, and they have a big community of all sorts of different people that all think the same way. And I might be able to rally and integrate the cohorts over there faster than people here because they're so hyper focused on with EOS, dealing with the past history, and with Fractally dealing with the new innovation and the past conflict with EOS. Whereas these other spaces, it's like they're so much more vast. And I'm hearing a lot of dialogue that is very much not chain specific, but more like the larger Web3 blockchain community issues like being discussed.
Yeah. So I guess I mean where I would bounce off that, to allow those thoughts to bounce off what I think where I'm trying to get to is I want to work hard and become knowledgeable enough that I have the skill set that when I show up to participate, like let's say for example that this new chain is going to have professionals or people who have earned the respect and trust in the community, both to bring enough knowledge, to bring enough common sense, to bring enough practical know-how, and really boils down to trustworthiness to say, if we're going to have a community place their trust in a group of people who are going to act in the capacity of a block producer, or that you have to be, it's like a fiduciary. You go to your bank and say, um, you know, will you watch over my safe deposit box for me?
Right.
And then what I put into my safe deposit box, you're going to give back to me when I need it. So it's like a fiduciary of, and then you get compensated for that. And I think that that's also going to be a necessary component for me. I love gathering knowledge and becoming smarter and wiser, and that's rewarding in itself. But life also, you also have to provide a home and pay the bills and
Sure, sure.
get the food
I
on
got a
the
simple
table. So
solution for you, Jay. I got a simple solution for you because you're the perfect person for me. You're the other half of what I need to like catapult what I'm doing. Is I just need someone who's uneducated in a certain area and needs to learn something to play this learning game with me. And if I know the subject matter or not doesn't matter to me, right? Because
yeah,
and so but the fact is I know very specifically, well, Jay's an attorney. Jay has certain needs and wants and situational concerns with his family, with Fractally, whatever. We need to get into a little bit more into who Jay Taylor is and figure out what information he's deficient in or what information would benefit him. And that in itself is the most important question. I would not even try to answer the question of like how do I do this or how do I do that or how do I, learn more about EVM versus whatever. I would stop and think, what are the things that I don't know that I need to know? The question is, what is the question? You get what I'm saying? Because it's in
yeah,
that process of discovery where if you're deficient in information, the last thing you want to know is assume that you know the question of what is the question. that provides the highest value to me, because you have to assume that you're already in a point of ignorance, that you need that light. Or if you do assume you already know those answers to those questions, you're not going to look for more questions. But
Don't you think we've kind of landed, tacitly agreed that by learning the fundamentals of the technology, that we're going to have worked hard at developing a skill set that gives us the ability to not only to be helpful, um, to this, and I hesitate to say, you know, right now the target looks to me that it's appropriate to place a bet on this new chain that's being architected by Dan Larimer. And so it's like, if that is the cutting edge of the technology that excites us the most, then let's build a foundational skill set um, of the technology, how to run a node, even though it's high intensive on, um, bandwidth, and and by that nature, just to run something that's burning a lot of um, power of server power. It's like, wow, is that going to be? I think that's where the action is, and I think that that is a worthwhile um, goal to achieve. What's really hilarious is that it matches up with what I think our I can't remember. I think I volunteered to say, "Hey, Doug, if you're going to publish YouTube videos where it's like, you know, enter, turn on your Ubuntu Linux box for the first time ever, hit the power button." It's like, okay, now what do I
oh, you know
do?
what? I prefer to use Linux than Windows. It's just that I can't zoom reliably in it, so I'm always having to
Oh,
reboot.
okay.
So yeah,
You,
I've been using Ubuntu for well over a decade. Well, let me think. Yeah, well, easily over a decade. And when I first got into open source, I was learning how to compile a free BSD server from scratch. Like, I've spent so much time just screwing around with technology to build sort of fundamental skill sets to get to this level. And now I'm like starting all over again because I've leveled up in a quantum shift, and I'm now at the beginning. Oh,
yeah.
and so every new topic and task and thing I take, I'm at the beginning again. But the good news is everything is magically falling into place. Everything is effortless. Everything is just falling into my lap. It just requires me to take focus of what I'm doing and just keep it going. And so the way I look at systems is I look at healthy systems as living, and all living systems um, exhibit what's called negentropy. It's the opposite of entropy. Entropy is when a system decays in order,
Right.
from order to disorder. A living system actually goes the opposite way. It goes from disorder to order. So the way I look at it is that ideas are living things, and that they have a genealogy and a history, and they spawn new ideas, and the ideas change over time, just like a person changes over time. And so when you start looking at ideas and consciousness from this perspective of like, these things don't exist on their own independent thing, but they're happening in a context of an environment where the environment is constantly interacting with these ideas. What I see is that, like, if you're going to pursue an idea and you want to grow it, it's no different in my mind. Like, your mind is like a garden, and if you don't cultivate the garden, you get weeds growing and all sorts of things happening. And that's just that's just to me a reflection of the undisciplined person. Like, when someone gets mad at me, I get mad back. When the weather's bad, I feel shitty. But a self-aware and proactive person who has the
Right.
ability and function to not only control their behavior but have control over their emotions and their thinking
So,
is in a
so
much.
I saw,
Mhm.
I saw Esteban. I read he put together a daily, weekly, um, roadmap for us to learn the EVM, and I think that that's awesome. And then somehow it came up. I guess you mentioned it. And Dan Larimer said, okay, well, I guess Jay and Doug are going to be using the Solidity, you know, language to write their first
Oh
smart
no, we're not
contract. And
writing nothing. See, that's the thing is I'm not intending for people to think that, but if they assume that, that's not the case. But it's just me having an interest in branching out to another, just to create trusted relationships where, because
I
basically,
hear you on that.
yeah.
No problem. What do you think Esteban's course? What do we learn by the time we get from day one to day end?
Well, um, there's going to be our perceived expectations of what we learn, and there's going to be things that we learn in attempting to learn what we think we're going to learn that we didn't realize we were going to learn. So part of it is uncertain, it's indeterminate, it needs to be discovered. But the other part of it, I think, is very simple to me. We're going to learn how well Jay and Doug work together. We're going to learn if Doug can actually figure out how to use StreamYard and get Jay to join it. We're going to learn what Doug and Jay are like, because in the free time as they're struggling around. I mean, think of it as a comedy routine if you wanted to. Like,
Yeah.
we're just two bumbling idiots. Like, why are we even doing this, Jay? I don't know. It was your idea, Doug. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think the funny thing to do was like, is let's play good cop, bad cop. Like, you're the fractally advocate, and I'm like, hey, I want to believe in this, and I see your argument, but I really need to be certain. So I have to test out the devil's advocate's position. And so in doing that, I want to invite more input into that equation that is outside of our ecosystem as a method to gain interest into our ecosystem, and using the topics of discussion, that are affecting everyone as the attractive platform where
Okay.
we're
Well,
basically say, hey, we got the winning ideas right here. Jay says he's got the winning solutions, and it's Dan Larimer. And Doug goes, okay, Jay, bet let's look into this. Let's explore this. But if someone else
right.
wants to present a better solution, hey, show us what you got. Lay your
Okay.
cards on the
Check this
table.
out. Like if we were to draw a full circle on you've seen those dot things where a little child who's 3 years old, 4 years old, can take a crayon and you connect the dots, and then as soon as you've closed the loop on the dots, it's like you drew an outline of a giraffe. It's like, look what you created. And so it's kind of funny because one of the things that you saw me doing is hammering, just flooding the Telegram channels with, you guys, we can have domain names on the blockchain. And then it's like, okay, so let's just say that that's possibly a good idea. And then one of the things that's happened is Ethereum Solidity contract writers wrote ENS, the Ethereum naming service system, where they have the whole DNS mapped to the Ethereum blockchain, and the software is open source and it's done. So you can actually, and I've actually done it. I had to pay $190 to get my Ethereum transaction, but I put calm.forever on the Ethereum chain. And so it's like as a test to see, does this really work? And that was using the ENS software to put something on the Ethereum chain. And so, but what I really like the idea of is not putting it on the Ethereum chain, but putting it on Dan Larimer's, which I didn't even know at the time that he was going to do it, but develop a new Dan Larimer chain when we don't even know what the name of that new chain is going to be yet. But why not? And what's hilarious is now that the ENF is doing this, by the way, we're launching Trust EVM, and then it's like, well, I could put domain names on the EOS mainnet chain using the Trust EVM. And then now you're saying, oh, we've got Esteban who's going to help us learn how to do a Trust EVM, on a Linux box. And then it's like, and once we become experts at that, however long it takes, then we could use the Dan Larimer EVM to the new Dan Larimer blockchain and put blockchain domain names on the new Dan Larimer chain.
I'm tracking you. And all these
And
things
so,
all these things sound sensible to me, but don't know enough specifics of the technology to know whether it all makes sense. But see, you're introducing to me these things, and I'm like, when you first sent me that handshake stuff and the HandyCon conference, I was just like, hell yeah! I was like, man, how come I haven't heard of this before? And it's like such a small group of people that are pushing this, yet it's such an intelligent idea in my mind. And so all these things are what I call low hanging fruit in terms of they need help with their SEO. It's not a highly competitive market. They would appreciate the exposure. And if I'm forging into these areas with a like, cause see, anyone who is into like HNS or they're into like EVM domain name registration or whatever, it's one thing if you're just trying to push that content. But if I can house under one roof all these different topics, I start getting link juice for a broader spectrum of content matter. And so that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do is be like, and my next big target is AI. So basically I want to be the guy to where, what do you want number one in? Because come to me and I'll put it on my blog and you'll see it on the first page, if not first. And like, that's my goal. Like, I want to be like, I not only do I want to win with the best blockchain technology, but I want to win with the best SEO strategies, Jason. And basically, if I'm not winning, then I'm not happy. If I'm not
Yeah.
on the process of discovery and understanding and knowing what the questions to ask are, then I'm not happy.
So maybe we need taglines for each other's projects, like Dr. Wu, Master,
Oh,
uh,
absolutely, absolutely. We need to come up.
Master
Absolutely.
of, what is it?
No, I don't know. I'm agreeing with you. Absolutely.
No.
Say what you're going to say,
Yeah,
Master. What?
yeah. Well, I was, how, it's kind of funny. Master of manifestation. How about Dr. Wu? Um, what are you going to be?
Well, you know what? It doesn't really matter to me what we start off with because I I feel as though whatever I want to have the flexibility to where, hey, yeah, that sounds great. And if we don't like it, then
Yeah,
we change it. You know what I'm saying? And then version and iterate it and just be this constantly evolving kind of
yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
it doesn't matter to me, honestly, because it's just text. I can change it. But um it is good to come up something catchy, something that represents properly. Master of
yeah,
manifestation sounds great to me, but that's a dialogue in itself.
yeah. Search, search Oracle. Um, yeah, Oracle. Who, what was John Wooden's something Wizard of Westwood, maybe?
John Lennon.
John Wooden, the
Wooden.
basketball coach, UCLA basketball coach.
What did you say John Wooden was? What was the last? Did you think? What was?
The famous UCLA basketball
I know,
coach,
but
John
what was
Wooden.
what was the thing that you said?
Oh,
The
Wizard of Westwood, maybe.
wizard. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna think about that more because. Oh, you know what? Mm, I like I like wizard because I like alliteration and I like these W's because part of the reason I chose Wits Walker Woo is it's WWW. um,
Yeah,
and this kind of wizard. I was thinking like if I say, see, there's a difference between Master of Manifestation and something like Wizard of Witswalker World. Okay,
yeah,
because Wizard of Witswalker World is meaningless to anyone who doesn't understand what Witswalker World represents, and they might think wizard, but it creates an inquisitiveness where they immediately go, "What is this?" Because see, if you say Master of Manifestation, they think, "Oh, I know what manifestation is." But when you get into like Wits Walker World, you're like, what is this, and how does this do anything with manifestation? There's a huge sort of
right.
exploratory, sort of ideological and thinking that would go along with it. But more importantly, the word manifestation, the word master are common English words, whereas and wizard is too, but Wits Walker World is not. So basically,
Right.
if it's a catchphrase where they go, "What is?" I heard something. I don't know how to spell it, and they try to type it in, and they misspell it so many different ways. Basically, I'm expecting, because no one else is trying to compete with that word, Wits Walker World or Wits Walker Woo, that I should be able to litter the front page with that if that's the name tag that I've used, and I'm open to either way. But see, that's this whole thing of creating new words and new names is not only something that I do for the value of breaking people out of the way they think and creating a new way of thinking, but it's also for making my job with SEO easier and sort of like uh, what do you call it? Creating a sense of this guy is unique. He's not following the crowd. He's doing things independently in his novel and blah blah blah. He wants to reinvent language, whatever. And so now
Yeah.
that it's like this. It's like McDonald's, or it's like what does McDonald's mean? Oh, it's a place where you get burgers and fries. But is there anything in that name that represents that? It's like Colonel Sanders. Well, you think KFC and chicken. Well, why would you have? What would a Colonel have anything to do, and Sanders have anything to do with chicken? But see, what they're utilizing is top of mind awareness to brand subconsciously a proper name that's trademarked. You follow me? And so
Yeah.
along with that, there's a huge bundle of mythology that is not necessarily very well disclosed or known that goes along with these advertising campaigns. And sometimes they're not, you don't really know much about it, but there's a Ronald McDonald, but there's other characters too, I think. But why would you even have a character like Ronald McDonald? Like, what is that? How does that sell burgers, and what is value does it provide? I have no clue. I have no clue. Whereas Wits Walker World and Wits Walker Woo are sort of like, it's to me, it's like the end realization is Wits Walker Woo is nothing other than the idealized self.
Yeah.
In Wits Walker World is the those who, like, say you find a way to connect with the source, with God, with Christ, with whatever, you're in the zone, in the flow. Now the world appears differently. How give that
How do
world a
you
name?
spell how do you spell Wits Walker?
Wits, Wits, Walker, like you're walking, and then
Okay.
woo, like someone's wooing you, like courtship and love. Three simple English words that all have meaning. Is three-part structure, and you could think of it as subject, verb, object, um, past, present, future. Or
What inspired you to come up with Wits?
do you remember the definition of wits?
Um, it's smarts.
Well, let me
Or-
read it to you what Google is giving me from the dictionary .com. The ability to reason and act especially quickly, right mind, sanity, at one wit's end, at a loss to know how to proceed. When you're at the wit's end, you don't know how to proceed. When you have wits, you know how to proceed, right?
Okay.
Five wits, the five senses of mental faculties, live by one's wits to gain a livelihood by craftiness and cunning rather than by hard work. Now, that's one of many dictionary definitions that I think is very specific to what I'm trying to encapsulate. That is why I chose that word.
How about Walker? Is that like Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, well, that was a big part of the metaphor, because Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces, was a big inspiration for creating this Witchwalker Woo concept. And the most relevant and sort of name in sci-fi and whatever that is sort of like the origination of it all, to me, is Star Wars. And Star Wars transcends generations. And so when you hear of Luke Skywalker, so Wits Walker, well, you got a Skywalker, you got a Wits Walker.
Okay. Good.
So for me, it's like I would rather try to promote Wits Walker Woo or Wits Walker World than Master of Manifestation, because anyone can claim to be a Master of Manifestation. But what the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Divide it however you want. Whereas Wits Walker Woo or Wits Walker World really involves the what I call the syntegration, the synergy and integration of all modalities of thought as well as no modalities of thought. Like it's a sum total of nothing and everything. It's multidimensional, and anything that can be experienced by in the human experience.
How about just wits up? Like WITS space UP. Hey, what's up?
You actually, that's not a bad name for, because the thing is that that could be a great channel for, instead of WhatsApp, you say Wits up. So basically,
Yeah,
like if you wanted to have a channel where you're asking people what's up, like tell us what's going on, but let's get witty about it. Let's level it up. Let's act. You know what I'm saying? Like let's bring
yeah,
some wits. Like let's wits up. Let's. So basically, it could be a consulting channel maybe. Like someone has a problem. They're trying to solve it, and they want to tell me what's going on. That's what's up. So what happened? We wits it up, right? Okay, let's solve this
yeah.
problem for you. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, so it's just even something like simple as that, just using that one word attached to this larger uh, ideological sort of language and thinking can have an embedded, compacted uh,
I think
essence over
I
just two words.
I think I think I think wits can be just a short word that encapsulates all of Wits Walker Woo, and there's like everything. I like to say life often has this two-edged sword where you might have a tongue twister and a brain teaser like Wits Walker Woo, and it takes you 6 months to digest. Like, oh, so that's Dr. Wu's identity. But and that might be worthwhile because once you've digested it, then it's arguably more powerful. But something just like Wits Up is so unique. Like just you reading the definition of wits, it's like that encapsulates Wits Walker Wu. So it's like that is really powerful. I think Wits is awesome.
I,
And
I
I
like that,
think that
honestly. I like that. You know why? The more I think about it, is wits up is an easy way to, it's
yeah,
it's very short to type in a search engine. You're probably not going to
yeah,
get competed against if I conquer that domain name. And
yeah.
for the hardcore people that want to dig deep, it can lead into the sort of esoteric behind the scenes, the whole way this guy thinks kind of thing, which is not
Uh-huh.
necessarily going to be consumed by the average person, but it's going to be consumed by a cult following that I need to develop. And
Okay. And
that's
then
going to take
like
a
when we
long
have
time.
YouTube videos, you can say, "Hey, Doctor, hey, what's up?" It's like, "Hey, what's up? What's
Dude,
up?"
the more I hear it, the more I'm liking it. And in fact, now I'm
Okay,
wondering,
cool.
maybe we should HNS or domain name by that. I don't know. I'm thinking about it now.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely works for me, and it definitely if you look into what does wits up mean, it's like, oh wow, it's so perfectly
I
like
do
we went
like it.
through.
I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
it's descriptive of you too, so that's great.
Well, because the other thing I was thinking is, if you change the word wits to what's, I mean, that's a common thing people say in colloquial English. Hey, what's up? You know,
Yep.
and wits up sounds very close to it, but it's not the same, right? But in
Right.
saying
Right.
wits up, it's sort of like you're asking the question implicitly or subconsciously while giving the command. Like
Yep.
let's power up here. Let's put our thinking caps
Yeah.
on. Let's get innovative.
Yeah.
Let's release ourselves from all limitations. That's all what
Yeah.
wits is about,
It's
right?
like saying, "Hey," it's like saying, "Hey, pay attention," or "Open your eyes." What's
Exactly.
up?
And not only
Yeah.
that, but when you say what's up, you might think like, well, when you look up, you find the heavens. When you look down, you find hell. So we're trying to look to the heavens to elevate our wittiness, or I mean, there's a lot of different kind
Yeah.
of symbological things mixed in there. So I like it.
Yep.
Now what do we do?
Yeah. File a trademark on it. No, put a logo. For with that. So. Oh, okay. So I think it's cool. I think we're starting at the beginning with this trust EVM, and then I think it's a good. Oh, I know what I was going to say. In addition to connecting the dots, where learning how to run the EVM to be able to put things on a chain, Trust EVM obviously puts it on the EOS blockchain, but then that'll make it that much more easier for us if we ever want to put something on the new Dan Larimer chain. And then, but it's also, by the way, it is a running a Solidity contract to do a transaction on the Ethereum chain. And so I watched a video by, have you seen Fireship? There's a guy named what the heck is his name? He's a developer that he's like a million plus user. He's followed by a million plus subscribers. Um, he's the most entertaining programmer I've ever seen. He's crazy good and helpful. Is it Fireship?
Hmm?
Um, I have to look up his name. Yeah, this is it. Who is this guy? Where's my YouTube?
A question for you. Do you know if anyone would object if I started sharing the video after asking in the group to friends and colleagues of mine that are not really into the blockchain but want to know what's going on? And well, like for example, my friend Eric, who's the developer coder, I wanted him to be able to watch the Fractally in Orbit meeting, but I was going to ask the group. I figured if I
I
asked the
think
group,
I think I think it was consistent with the instruction. Keeping it private just means that if you share it with anybody, they have to agree also with the commitment to keep it private.
well, yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, they have to agree with the commitment to keep it private. Got you. And um, the authentication. I guess the only way they cannot keep it private or easily not keep it private if they were like to like download it or have someone watching over their shoulder and their user login or something. And yeah, I think that shouldn't be a problem. And it's not necessarily like completely enforceable or knowable. But
Right.
there are people
No,
that I trust.
yeah,
So
no, and that was just yeah, and that was even just limited to the first iterations of our meetings, where it's like until we get it clear that we're all just agreeing to share our personal project with everybody, then it's more open source. It was just because there was a potential. He didn't want to compromise his employer.
right, right, right. And so was it a matter of him changing his email and not using that email, or
Yeah, that was it. He just wanted to make it clear that this is his personal side project, and that way no one can argue with that.
right? Okay. Well, what I'm gonna do then is I'll probably end up posting in the group and explaining to people what my intent is. And if I don't see, because one of the things I realize in this game is I like to move fast. I like to get things done right away, and I like to get people's input and feedback. But often when doing that, I don't get any input or feedback. So I don't know if you've been reading some of my messages or what I wrote in there. Sort of like I'm basically telling you if you don't respond, I'm assuming silence is acquiescence. Like you're agreeing to it, and
Yeah,
like
no,
slap me on the
that
hands if I'm wrong, kind of thing. Because I'm not really interested in waiting for an answer that I don't need to when I feel like I already got the answer. But it always is better if I'm not assuming things. So I feel like if I
yeah.
put it out there and no one objects, then that's almost like some degree of consent based on my understanding of the situation.
Okay, so yeah, no, I think that practice of yours is fair and it works for me. I think that's great. The name of the guy that I was thinking of, I think his name's Jeff Delaney, and he his business is doing. He's a programmer who does YouTube videos, and he said one of the things that you said is he said, you know, I, I'm I became a decent programmer in several languages, but then I had to when it came down to Web3 stuff, blockchain related, I had to start at ground zero again. And so, but he had fun doing it. And so then he goes, okay, during the NFT craze, he goes, I'm a programmer. I can mint NFTs. Let's do that. And so he recreated. you know how people have, I forget what the apes, what were those apes called?
The
Um,
great ape or whatever.
yeah, I mean, whatever the first ones, and then
Bored ape is it? I
yeah,
don't.
board apes was like the punk, the crypto punk apes on steroids was board apes, and they made a, it's crazy. They made it like the Rolex watches of NFTs art or whatever. It's kind of funny. But here's my point is that Jeff Delaney put together a how long is it? It is 23-minute video, 23 minutes and 25 seconds. It's a fast run through from A to Z, downloading some software, creating. I think he drew some like hand-drawn images. You can layer a JPEG, and so he draws an outline of the head, and then a nose and eyes, and then smoking a cigar, or whatever.
Oh, like with a
And he
hand
said that,
scribbling.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
and then
software
so
program. That's a software program we could get access to and purchase if we want to use
yeah,
that.
and what's really hilarious is because he's a programmer, he goes, you can just download this from Joe's website and do the software program, or you can do it how I did it. And he literally just layered some JPEGs and then entered a function to randomize them, and then if it's available, then you save it or whatever. And so what he did was he built a Solidity program that generates random NFTs and um, say, and then what do you call it? When you put something on the blockchain, you put them on a, and then I forget. I think he used Dai instead of Ethereum because of the transaction fees, but he put it on chain, and then he loaded it up to OpenSea where you put your, you can link the blockchain addresses, and then if somebody wants to go to OpenSea and buy your NFTs, you can buy them. And then, but he didn't just do that to say, "Look, I published some NFTs." He said, "If you want to be a developer who's minting NFTs and selling them on OpenSea, here's how a programmer does it." And it's like he did the whole run through in 23 minutes.
Hey,
And it's like,
listen. I'm looking at his YouTube page, Fireship. It's called.
yeah,
He's got
yeah,
1.34 million subscribers. I'm looking at a lot of the content. See in 100 seconds, like a 3-minute video. This is a huge golden resource for me. And what I would like to
yeah.
do with him is embed videos in my Web3 University website and have like a relationship. Like as long as he doesn't mind me doing it, I would love to just use these videos, embed them, and then talk about them, and then just help promote what he's doing because he's giving all this information away for free. Why do I rebuild the teaching experience when someone's already got it done? I don't need to build it from
Oh,
scratch.
yeah. What's really interesting about that is I'm sure just call him up and talk to him and figure out how you guys could work just to make a fair offer, and usually fair offers get accepted. So
Well,
yeah,
here's a
I'm sure
fair
he would.
offer. I embed the videos in my website and you agree to it because most people who allow for embeddings usually want them to be embedded.
Yeah.
But there is a small possibility if you embed it that they could try to DMCA you or sue you. But I think the nature of the industry has changed. And because now it's like what happens is the content creators just assume the royalties of that usage and they don't really care anymore.
So one of the things that's really kind of funny and interesting about our learn the trust EVM is that if we are successful in Esteban's course on how to implement the trust EVM, then on our next course number 2 could be mint some NFTs and publish them on OpenSea for sale, and do it from, and then that video, like in our chat just between you and me, I just put the link to his build a Web3 app to mint unlimited NFTs. And it's so funny because we could, there's a lot. We would probably be having 20-minute breaks for blood, sweat, and tears because it's not easy to code this stuff. But but it is easy to cut and paste stuff. And what he provides is a whole. I mean, I'm sure it's on GitHub. He's like, you get the whole. And listen to this. It goes, I built a Web3 dApp that can mint unlimited quantity of NFTs. Learn how to build decentralized web apps with JavaScript using tools like Hardhat, Solidity, Open Zeppelin, React, Alchemy, and more.
That's
And then
that's Jeff's content. Can you send me that link?
check out. Can you look at your Telegram chat with
Yeah, yeah,
me?
yeah,
I've
yeah.
just
I
posted.
got it up right here. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So
Okay, got you, got you.
so after we're done, it's like you'll be blown away. I mean, it's the best 23 minutes ever spent because like, holy crap, I could do this, and here's the code, and it's like, and it's open source, and it's just like plug it in and go. So what we may want to think about. Let's do the trust EVM first, and then we'll do this mint unlimited NFTs second.
Okay, so here's my suggestion to you. You've already defined, between the two of us, we've already defined a sort of content subject matter of what we're going to discuss, which is what you just said, these two things. But remember, my interest is learning about NEveryThing. So even though we have a focused direction of what we're trying to do, and since we're only taking the first of the two and not the second, right, one thing at a time, um, there might be other things that need to be discussed and explored in doing this, like who is Doug, who is Jay, why are we doing this, what is our big picture vision, because we're not trying to pitch this to VCs or having a value proposition or trying to come up with a pitch deck. We can be just openly uh, communicative over, we're not exactly certain. We're looking for a winning solution for the best thing. And this is what we're doing because we've got these notions, and talk about that process a little bit before we just jump right into the software. Because if this video is a video that is going to be consumed by people outside of the EOS community, we need to create that basic context of who we are, why we're here, which is very rich and deep. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah,
really rich and deep conversations we can have. So, what I'm saying is, don't be too limiting on the value that we can create in our dialogue with each other. And if, for example, I elucidate that fact before the meeting, like I am now, you might want to outline and write down, you know what, that's a good point, Doug. Let me write some things down of topics to consider, which is fine with me. I can work with that. But I'm also just as flexible with working with someone who just wants to shoot from the hip, and in the middle of the conversation a new topic pops up, you want to go with that, I'm okay with that. Okay, but it helps that if we're both on the same page, because like, if you're the guy
yeah,
that likes structure, then I want to do structure. But if you're the guy that likes shooting from the hip, then I'm okay with shooting from the hip. But if I'm the
right.
guy that needs to make a point or wants to make this effort worth a certain uh, outcome or have a focus, then I need to communicate to you before that session. You see, it's all dynamic. It doesn't have to be any one way. But at the same time, it makes sense to decide what way we're going to do it. If we are going to do a certain one way, or we are going to just focus on a certain topic, we both should be on the same page about it.
Yeah.
We'd be more
So
effective.
what one of the things I think we spoke about from day one, Doug, was the just kind of my worldview, and basically, it's like, hey, Jay, who are you? What would you want to do? It's like spread the gospel and feed the world, and not necessarily in that order. Because if I'm feeding the world, then people might say, wait, how are you feeding the world? It's like, oh, because he's spreading the gospel. So, but they both basically go hand in hand. To be we talked about the word manifest. It's like to just manifest the goodness of God and the grace and mercy and love. And that's that. It's so funny because yesterday you posted something about, I'm Doug Wu, I'm going to manifest, Jesus on the blockchain or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like
Did you
that.
like that?
Yeah. And so I said, and then I came back and I said, you know what, Doug, not only is that a noble task and a goal, but that's what you were created to do.
Right.
And then what I put in parentheses is literally, and it's like, because people sometimes overuse the word literally. It's like, no, that's what creation is. It's like you've been created to be a creator, and that includes being a communicator, an SEC guru, and wits up, you know.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Is he?
So it works.
I
Yeah, it
love
works
it.
for me.
I love it because the thing is that such a controversial or uniquely framed context or dialogue to have. Jesus on the blockchain, what does that mean?
Right.
Right?
You
And
know,
so
it's so hilarious. Yeah.
it's
You
see,
know,
it's
it's
a
so
catchy
hilarious.
thing. It's like see what I'm doing is creating new kinds of creative content that is just like different than everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly right. And it's so funny because, you know, truth and goodness are just so powerful. You can't reality, you know, it's like um, you know, reality is what you bump into when you make a mistake. You know, it's like, oh, you know, so so reality, what a concept. But the idea of you oh I like to say the ultimate truths in life are paradoxical, you know. I want to make sure that I build a boundary around myself where I'm not using God's name in vain, it's just what's right and wrong and what's good versus evil is that if God is supremely infinite and if his creation revolves around him and he's the beginning, the alpha and the omega, then there's certain of, you know, just call it natural law. And even one of the things that flows from that is, um, you know, he said in the Ten Commandments, do not use my name in vain. You know, and so people just like it's so hilarious now. Today's such an upside down, crazy world that people could freak out and fight over. You're not wearing a mask. I hate you. You need to go to prison because you're not wearing a mask. And it's
Right.
like this stupid mask is useless. Doesn't matter. You're breaking the law. I need to put you in prison for that. You know, and somebody could be, you know, and that when Jesus was walking around, he said, "Hey, you Pharisees, I think you know, you wash the outside of the dishes, but inside, you know, you're full of death and rotting bones.
Right.
So you don't want to just throw rules around like, you know, what does it mean to honor the name of God? It's like if Doug wants to be Jesus on the blockchain, it's like if I know you and I know what you're saying, it's like that's that could just as easily be bringing glory to God, saying I'm Jesus on the blockchain, as it
Amen,
could be
brother.
actually, you know.
I think so too. You know, but see what I'm saying
Yeah,
is you're gonna get naysayers or people don't
yeah,
understand, and that
right.
controversy is fuel for SEO. You know,
Yeah,
no matter what I do, you're gonna have a hater or some anti-questioning or
right,
whatever, and it's nothing you fear; it's what you welcome.
right. Yeah, haters is nothing new. That's right.
Right. And so I want to get back to this because this is a really good topic, Jay. Part of the reason I like you so much and latched onto you was because of your spiritual centeredness and groundedness and, you know, uh, underlying ethic. For us to start off with a show and not elucidate that when we have free reign to be unlimited would be a huge disappointment to me to not mention
Right.
that small part because
Yeah.
it's that kind of stuff that I'm trading these channels for because I can't necessarily discuss this in a fractally breakout session or in a group meeting or like on an EOS Telegram Discord whatever, but you and I can do this in our own space. And even though we're selling it as a trust EVM trust swap thing, oh no,
Right.
when you're getting
Right.
everything, you know,
Right.
what's your topic? We're
Yeah.
unlimited. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
like,
It's like right. Politics, religion, and philosophy are not off limits.
well, you know why? It's simple. It's simple. We have a massive
Yeah.
problem to solve, and we need to use every kind of way of thinking to understand this problem. And we need to address every kind of problem, any kind of sector of our society or in consciousness. So to rule out certain areas to be, oh, that's off topic or that's not part of this discussion, wrong way to go
Right.
about it. That's what I say.
Right.
But
Right.
my
Right.
way is super resource intensive. It's like Doug wants to bite off the whole entirety of like the known history of mankind plus what's unknown and solve all these problems. But who does he think he
Yeah.
is? Well, he
Right.
could be very well there's this person named Jesus Christ that's living in him, and he could very well have assumed and taken on this role and personality and hybridized
Yeah.
himself. You know, like, how does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah. Yeah. That I think that's I think it's I agree with the philosophy of the YouTube channel that you have. I think that's great.
Well, cool.
So what else were we trying to accomplish in this phone call?
Last thing I just want to clarify, because people are asking me, when is the session time, PST, EST, date? And I wrote Sunday at 2 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. CST. I just wanted to confirm that with you. That is correct, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so we're locked in there. Now I need to spend some time focusing on getting the StreamYard infrastructure. Like I got to buy the thing and probably create some assets and spruce it up. Or I could do that while we're running the stream. You know, it's like it really doesn't matter because I sort of like the idea of just like, just like evolving as we go and just not even really caring about like, because so many quote unquote professional businesses like, oh no, it's like Dan Lambert, we're not ready to release this to the public yet. And it's like, well, if I have that attitude, if I want, I'll never be able to solve everything. I need to just start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I can't always expect this perfect, ideal thing, and it's
I,
resource
I
inefficient to me. Because we have a
I've
lot of
seen
value to
live
create
stream.
just talking.
I've seen the Yeah, I've seen live coding videos where they screw it up and they type, they forgot the semicolon, and the whole audience is just freaking out and throwing their coffee cups at the screen for 20 minutes, and then the guy goes, "Oh shoot, I forgot a semicolon." 20 minutes into the
Yeah,
video,
yeah.
and it's like,
So maybe
and
you should
so
tell
it's
that
like,
story before we start. Like, hey, this is what you should expect. Like it's
yeah,
possible.
so-
And then, but see, it
so-
changes if let's say, okay, for example, Phoenix, who I haven't talked to in the longest time, and I am back in touch. And if you don't know who Phoenix is, he told me he was one of the first employees of Block One. Um, and he also had been actively involved with me for a short period of time doing the self-directed learning through the ESIO trainings. And he started trying to teach me smart contracts and stuff. I still have videos with him that I haven't really published or promoted. I have published but not promoted. But he also was largely involved with the hackathon organizing, the primary driving force within that with the ENF and the EOS community. I asked him yesterday, how's the hackathon organizing going? And he basically told me he felt like he was the only one that wanted to see it happen. He was driving forth behind it. They weren't really supporting him, so he just like gave up on it. And so I'm like, ew.
yeah,
And that's interesting. That's interesting. Like, um, but anyways, he's interested in this thing because he himself told me he's going more chain agnostic, and he's telling me all the things. So that's a prime time with hey, he's interested. He might want some airtime. He might actually help
right,
us with the coding more than we know what we're doing. We don't know what to expect. You get what I'm saying? It's a moving target.
yeah, and so by 2 o'clock tomorrow, like, I have to try and at least get a Linux box running, which I think I can do. I don't know that I even have Windows 11 on any of my computers, but especially one that I would want to use. And then, but if I did,
You don't have
um,
to do anything, Jay. You don't have to do anything. You know why?
why?
Because I'm running Windows 10 dual boot with Linux. I'm going to do this in Windows. Why? Because I can't stream reliably in Linux because of the audio glitchiness and quality. How are
Oh,
they gonna?
okay.
How am I gonna accomplish his tutorial running in Windows? Well, I already looked at what he's suggested, and the very first thing was installing a virtual machine. And so you just download a program called VirtualBox, and you can
Okay.
download the Linux uh, uh, ISO, and you just install
Oh,
Linux
cool.
within Windows. Now,
Cool.
okay, on top of that, Jay, there's something called the WSL subsystem in Windows, the Windows
Yep.
subsystem for Linux, to where even though you're running Windows, you can do all the coding in Windows, yet it's based on Linux. But
I get it. I understand.
but I don't know. See, if I follow that path, it might not work the same as what Esteban's showing me. Because like he posted like used Ubuntu 2104. I'm like 2104. Why 2104? Because 2204 just came out. It's the latest release. It's the LTS version. The LTS means long term support. So the
Right.
long-term support versions are more stable and reliable, whereas the other versions are like the latest updates, but may not have the and they have a longer support life. So the last LTS before that was 2004. So it's sort of like, why 2104? I'm like, I don't understand, but I guess maybe it's because the development packages there may differ or something. I have no idea. You get what I'm saying? So if he, it could be he accidentally typed a digit wrong. It could be that I don't listen to him and I still want to use 2204 anyways because that's what I'm running, or that's what I might download.
I think it's very, I think it's very rare to bump in up against incompatibilities, and so knowing us, Murphy's Law, it'll probably we'll hit it incompatibility right away. But I think it'll be fine.
Oh, I disagree with you. I disagree with you just because um, I don't know the answer. I could be wrong, but I what I found is like I get lost in versioning because with a little I've done,
Yeah.
like even for example, like I'm looking in some of these groups and they're like, oh, don't use the latest build, use this build. Like, and I'm like, why isn't it the latest build? And because this one got this glitch, and there's all these little caveats. And and this thing about like open source people not documenting their stuff well or maintaining their
Okay.
packages
So
and all that
then
stuff.
it sounds like then before 2 o'clock. Well, I'm just going to be. Yeah, we're going to download it live. So we'll just have to figure it out what we're going to do when we get there tomorrow. And if it fails, if tomorrow's a complete fail, we spend 45 minutes,
But see,
entering the first one.
that's fine. If it's a complete fail, I don't care. It's just going to be a fun learning experience, and we can make a video about that, and we can talk about what we learned, and do it again and see we've learned from. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Perfect. I love it. And so now, why don't we commit like Sunday afternoons at 2 o'clock? It's Doug and Jay coding time.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm not stuck on it just being a coding time. But if you want it to be a coding time for the time being or for however long, uh, I'm open to that till I'm not open to that. You know what I'm saying? To why I feel like, hey Jay, we
Right.
really need to tackle this over here. Like this is a big thing. No one
Well,
else is
that
going to talk about this but me and you, Jay. We need to address this. There's so many people talking
okay.
about coding. We got Jeff Delaney. Why are we doing this?
Okay, so then that brings us full circle. Um, and I don't know if we'll have decided by 2 o'clock tomorrow, but that's a vote in favor of just calling it Doug and Jay's Sunday afternoon winning. It's like, what does that mean, winning? It's like we're going to be winning at code, we're going to be winning at life, we're going to be winning at this or that. It's like, remember who's that guy's name that was in One and a Half Men or Two and a Half Men, who fell off a cliff with drugs, and he was married to two girls at one time, and he was in he's a family of actors.
I don't know. I'm not. Nothing's.
Winning. Uh, Martin Sheen's son is
Oh,
is,
yeah, I know
is
who
Martin
this.
Sheen's son.
Okay, what
So
about
anyway,
him?
that guy. What's his name?
I don't know, but what about him?
He's famous for saying, they interviewed him when they fired him from this, multi-million-dollar contract. They go, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Winning, duh." It's like one of the all-time funniest memes for, winning. He was basically, failing at life, but he was convinced that he was winning. So it was just a play on the word. But so anyway, um, like I say, I'm not stuck on any descriptor for our YouTube channel, and our streamcast. But winning is a candidate, just because it's a one word funny word, so it can mean anything really. Mostly good. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'm just answering Mark real quick. Okay, so let me get back
Okay.
to you. So, um, the thing about winning, I think what we should do is not worry too much about it, and we can talk about it then. That's one option.
Totally.
Another
Yeah.
option is like think about it more and like not just what we're doing in the topic or the name, but just like writing down things that you want to talk about and coming up with a list and maybe assembling some more web links for discussion. You get what I'm saying? Like not let me look for it now, but at least I have some things that I know I want to talk about, so it's easier to copy and paste in or whatever. um, But one thing I do want to point out to you is because I'm going to make this an announced thing with a certain time, start time. Even though
Yeah.
our start time will be at 2, I want to let other people know that we're not going to be going straight into the coding at 2. We're not even certain when we're going to go into it. So it's going to be that kind of thing to where, maybe people will leave and come back or whatever. And I don't really care. But if you wanted, we could segment out like 2 to 2:30 is just like us talking, and then 2:30 we're going to dig heavy into it. But it also gives us time to download the stuff in the background while we're talking. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And it gives us
Oh
time to
yeah.
figure out, hey, do we have the bandwidth requirements to be downloading software on both ends and live streaming at the same time? That's all very valuable information, Jay.
It's what's I agree, and what's hilarious is between the two of us, there's almost no dead air anyway, which is pretty
Oh,
hilarious.
I know.
So
Dude, our conversations, I can't get off the phone with you sometimes because I don't want
yeah,
to. I'm
yeah.
just like, I just love it so much. And I think that these kinds of things need to be interjected into our community because they're so biased towards other topics.
Okay. One thing, as I'm about to say goodbye, I think that we should, even though we're just doing this, shooting from the hip, that we may want to just think about an idea of what do we want to call the YouTube channel when Jay and Doug are, um, working, like, pushing the ball forward on, are we even, is it even fractally centered? I mean, Dan's new chain is have a
No,
total different
no,
brand.
doesn't have to be at all.
So
And it should not be, in my opinion, because we don't want to be
yeah,
redundant because now we're not innovating anymore or conquering a new domain. You know what I'm saying? And now we're being limited and constrained by that.
how about instead of winning, how about living tech? So we're living and we're doing tech at the same time. Living tech.
I like that. I like
Okay,
that.
so it's just an idea of what the heck are Jay and Doug doing anyway? It's like, well, we're living life and doing tech, so it's living tech.
And in fact, I think that's not a bad one either. And I think I like the fact that you're coming up with these ideas because I would like to whatever name we choose is one that you came up with because I've made so many names already. Like you have one, we can credit you for. And I think living tech has an embedded, enfolded, multidimensional aspect to it, of which is consistent with the views expressed by Wits Walker Wu and Wits Walker World.
Yes. Yes, you know what? And so it's like living tech. It's like two guys living in a stream of consciousness, but possibly sometimes organized.
Right?
So
You
we
know,
just,
yeah, I love it because there's very much a aspect to like an element of Abbott and Costello that I would love to have with you. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Even though we're authoritative experts, we don't have to always be. We can make mistakes. We
right,
can have fun. We can laugh at
yeah.
ourselves, but we grow
I
through
mean,
it.
yeah, and you know what? I think we all do live in worlds that involve streams of consciousness, and so it's like, so that's why I really appreciate people counterbalancing forces on our team. Like I say, Toby is a good example of a very organized thinker, and it's like, so it's that's why we work so well in communities.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what also would be interesting when this happens is what kind of resonance does it have with people who are just there for coding? It's not going to hit everyone equally the same, I bet.
Right. Um, Yeah, I mean, yeah, the coders are not going to be there for the coding. They're going to be there for the entertainment and the philosophy and the fun in
Right.
watching two semi-special needs guys trying to build something and having fun doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I love it. I love you, man. This is great. You're a perfect partner for me in this endeavor because you know what? The other thing I got going for me with you is we need to promote you as an attorney. And so,
Right.
see,
Yeah,
because
I mean,
your website, for
exactly.
example, what does it say? What is your subject matter jurisdiction in law? Nothing I see on your website has to do with blockchain. But here you are, and I'm talking to you. I'm learning so much from you, Jay. I'm learning from
Yeah.
you, you know? And so I'm like, man, this
Right.
guy is like ahead of the curve. Like as an attorney, how many attorneys can I find that can talk this language? Very few, you know?
Very few.
And so
Yeah.
that's a super added value feather in your cap that I'm going to toot that horn. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Yeah. I should definitely put on a suit every once in a while and teach a course on um, continuing legal education. You know,
Oh
everything
yeah.
you
In
need to
fact, we need
know
to make
about.
you your own channel and I'll help you with that to start helping you market yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Cool. Yeah. By the way, so I own lawlibrary.com and mcle.com too. And so MCLE is mandatory continuing legal education. And that's an easy, talk about low hanging fruit. That's something that attorneys can do if they just put in the effort to teach what they've been learning.
And now imagine this with my Web3 university. It's wuniversity.us. Wooniversity. Essentially. It's like Web
That's
University or
good.
Web3 University or Woo University. The W, it's just like, Dan, is it digital or decentralized autonomous currency or community or,
Right.
company or what is it? It could be all of them, you know? And so
Right. Right.
and so basically, if I have the ability to not only have a subject matter expertise on Web3, and then all the Web2 stuff and below is sort of easy because all that information's already out there. You just got to organize and curate, create relationships, and blah blah blah. Now with an attorney under my belt or I'm partnered with my team, I can start promoting your educational information through my university that links back to your stuff. Like I create feeder, like teaser type stuff that you learn. Maybe I don't know, maybe you want to build on my site, maybe you want to build on yours, maybe you want to build on both, and all that stuff will have to be discussed and will play out. And as long as we have an understanding that doesn't violate our expectations of what each of us are doing, I think we can figure it
Or
out.
my or my rules of professional responsibility and ethics and conduct, and which are not that difficult to comply with. And then yeah, one of the ideas of your university. What about? There's so many templates out there to create courses. Udemy or whatever. I would pick one, and they basically have a do-it-yourself syllabus with video, and name it a course.
Right, that's exactly what I'm going after. But the target product that I was going to use at the end of it all, after I get the WordPress side going, is something called Moodle. That's what I've been looking
Okay.
at. It's an open source thing
Okay.
and it's pretty sophisticated. But see, all these things that I'm talking about, it's sort of like they're a little bit over my head. It's sort of like I can't run all these things on my own. I'm going to need help
Right.
or at least, other people's input. And if I try to answer the question, how am I going to do all these things right now? I'm going to say, there's no way I know. There's no way I can even explain it. But guess what? I don't care. You know why? I walk in faith.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll learn by doing.
And my expectation in this concept of living technology that people will rise up to the occasion once we create the platform and the dialogue for that to happen. And
Yeah.
another reason why I like living technology, it fits perfectly with the notion I have of what we really have going on here, people, is a convergence of creator, creation, and AI is what I'm going to argue. And
Which do you
basically,
like? Right. No, I hear you on that. Which do you like better, living tech or living new tech?
um, I don't know. I have to think about that more. The reason I don't like living new tech is the whole notion of time of something being new
Yeah, yeah.
is
No, I think living tech, I agree with you on that. My intuition is living tech, um, because I just threw that out there off the top of my head.
well, you know why I don't like living new tech? When you say living new tech, you're sort of evaluating new tech as better than old tech. I don't
Right,
agree
right.
with
I
that.
agree with you on that.
I don't agree with
Yeah.
that. There's some old tech that we need to bring back that we've lost.
Okay, so right now we're tentatively gonna roll with, subject to change, but we may want to roll with living tech.
Okay. If I create a YouTube channel that we're going to broadcast under Living Tech, I'm going to start building that channel right now so we can stream through it. And the big problem I'm going to have is, in order for me to do that and have a video longer than 15 minutes, I need to verify it. And I've used up my verifications. That's why I had to bug you yesterday with the Fractally in Orbit one. But I'm pretty
Okay.
certain that it requires that each phone you can verify 2 channels per year per phone number. And so
Okay.
if I use yours again, you're gonna not be able to create a YouTube channel using your phone number. You have to go find someone else's too, which is, I mean, it's doable. It doesn't really matter because it's not like that's the number associated with the account or anything like that. It's just a way to.
It's funny. I think I have a Google number. Can you write this down?
It doesn't work with Google Voice numbers because they're voice over IP. I'm pretty sure. I tried mine. Well, actually, no, it does work. It should. I think it will work. But why don't you give me the number?
I'll send it to you in Telegram and we'll see if it works.
Yeah, send it to me in Telegram. And when I don't know how long the confirmation code lasts, so you sort of have to respond somewhat quickly, to get it back to me. But I'll give you a heads up before I activate that confirmation code request.
Right. Sounds good.
All right, we good?
Yep, we're good. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, he's calling me 309.